Welcome to the Calm Mom Podcast, the show for ambitious women ready to get off the hot mess express. I know you've got a lot going on. You work so hard, you're raising an incredible family, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a certified master life coach, attorney, wife, and mom. And years ago, I was right where you are. I was running a busy law practice while raising a family, and I was on the fast track to burnout. I thought I just needed to be more organized or have better routines, but it was learning how to heal and regulate my nervous system that expanded my capacity to gracefully hold more of this big, beautiful life. You too are worthy of an extraordinary life in and beyond motherhood. Learning to be a calm, anchoring presence in your home and at work is going to be your superpower. If you're here to do the inner work that brings a sense of calm amidst the chaos, I'm here to join you on that journey. Each time you press play, your growth continues. So let's get at it. Welcome to the Calm Mom Podcast. It's Michelle here. Grateful you're with us. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk about burnout today. And I want to talk about 3 signs of mom burnout specifically. And then I'm not just going to leave you hanging there, but we're going to talk about what you can do about it, right? If these resonate, how can you reclaim your energy? And if I know one thing about you, I know that you love your kids more than anything. And then I've been in a space where I've known the same thing to be true for myself. And I've also been snapping at them over little things, not just my kids, but my husband too. I've loved what I do. I've loved, how my days look. And I've had seasons of my life where I've woken up exhausted before the day even starts. And I've also been in spaces where I've just felt like I'm carrying this mental load that's suffocating me, right? Like I'm just drowning in all the things that I feel like I have to do. And I think the worst part when I think back on seasons where I felt like that is that it feels like, and this is my perception, right? I don't think this is necessarily true, but it feels like no one really sees it, right? Like no one really sees how much I'm carrying. No one really sees how much I'm doing. No one really sees how tired I am. It feels like no one's really thanking me for it. And if any of that sounds familiar, you might be in a season like I was in when I was experiencing really deep burnout, right? Not just tired, but like severe nervous system dysregulation, body and brain constantly running in overdrive, stress building up in my system, and over time, just taking a serious toll physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But there's good news, my friends, right? There's good news. There was good news for me and there's good news for you too. And it's that there's a way to heal from burnout like that. Burnout isn't a life sentence. Like there are real doable ways that we can heal our nervous system and start feeling like yourself again. Like in those moments where I was in it deep, I used to remember. It was a faint memory at some moments, but I did remember. Like I remembered when I felt really lighthearted. I remember when I felt really easygoing. I remembered when I was fun and I would make jokes and I was funny and I was just easy to be around. Life felt easier, right? I could be silly. I could be spontaneous. I could be adventurous. All of those things were still true about myself. I just wasn't experiencing those aspects of my personality in that deep state of burnout that I was in. So I want to talk about it today. We're going to break it all down. I want to give you guys what I think are 3 of the most common signs of mom burnout. Some of these are things you don't even realize are burnout. We just kind of chalk it up to oh, it's just busy. It's just got a lot going on. It's what life is like as a mom, which is garbage. It's not true. And then we're going to talk about why your nervous system has been impacted, right? Why you're running on empty. And then I want to give you guys some really practical, realistic steps you can start taking today, right? Not just fill your cup, but what can you actually start doing today that when I talk to you about it doesn't make you want to punch someone in the throat, which is how I felt a lot of the time when people who meant so well were trying to give me advice. And I'm you don't understand. I'm not going to be able to do that right now. I'm flipping burned out. Don't give me 6 more things to do in a morning routine. Okay. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking like, but what if this is just how my life is now? I just want to encourage you that I get it and I've been there. But I promise you, it does not have to be this way forever. Okay, let's jump into it. But before we do, if you haven't left the show a 5-star rating yet or a short review, could today be the day? It would take you like 10, 15 seconds max. 5-star rating, couple sentences about what you love about the show, maybe something you've learned. One, I always love to read what you guys put there and I take it to heart and it's so encouraging to me. And second, and I think more importantly, it helps the algorithm get the show in front of other women who desperately need this information. They are living with a lot of these symptoms that you and I have experienced. It's exhausting. The mental load is heavy, trying to do all the things. And to be frank, a lot of the information out there just isn't particularly helpful. So if you have benefited from these science-backed nervous system based approaches that like real people can do, man, just leaving the show a 5-star rating and a short review is a great way to help us advance this mission and teach this to other women who need it. Okay, so let's jump into the first sign of mom burnout. Sign number 1. You, my friend, feel like you have to do it all. And mostly because no one else is going to do it how you do it. No one else is going to do it right. And if that hits for you, if that lands and you're feeling in a season where you feel like you have to do it all, I see you. I see you because I was you. And I was running around the house, remembering the dentist appointment, restocking the fridge, keeping track of school projects, signing the permission slips, right? Making sure no one forgets a birthday. And if I didn't do it, I had this false narrative that it just wouldn't get done, or at least it wouldn't get done how it should get done, right? If I'm being real about my ego getting in the way. It was just this belief that I had to be the one to handle everything because no one else was going to do it right. And that, my friends, is classic burnout thinking. It just is. And let's talk about how it shows up. So mentally, first of all, when we get stuck in this trap, y'all, the brain never shuts off. Like you can probably relate to periods in your life where you felt like that. Like you just want to turn the dang thing off. Like I want to just rest. I want to just relax, but I'm constantly running through the to-do list, even when I'm supposed to be unplugging and recharging and trying to be present. It's tough, right? Emotionally, you feel resentful. Everything's annoying, right? No one's helping me, yet truly you're not letting them. Feel like you're having to carry it all, which also isn't true. And then you kind of get resentful that no one even notices, right? Kind of like I said earlier, it was just this feeling of like, no one's even noticing how much I'm doing. Physically, and maybe you guys can relate to this, like my gut was a mess. My shoulders and neck were always tense. My jaw was always clenched, right? I felt like I hadn't taken a deep breath in weeks. And then I think, greater than all of this spiritually is just this sense of disconnection. You feel disconnected from yourself. You feel disconnected from your joy. You feel disconnected from anything that isn't like an urgent must-do responsibility right now. And how does this happen, right? How do we get into this space where we start to adopt this belief that like we have to do it all and no one else can really do it how it needs to be done? It's because we are operating in a pattern of hyper responsibility because of the state of our nervous system. And this can like happen in a sneaky way over time, you guys. But like, even let's take it way back, right? If you grew up in an environment where being needed meant that you were valuable, you can see how that relates, right? Or where you had to step up. And maybe you were the one that had to take care of everything from a young age. Maybe you were parentified and you were taking care of your parents or your younger siblings from a young age, right? What happened is that you reinforced this pattern of overfunctioning as safety, right? Your nervous system learned that if I do all the things, that's how we get fed. That's how we're safe. That's how the house gets cleaned. That's how, my parents stay healthy or what have you. And we learn this and then it gets reinforced. And it's this idea of like, the more I do, the more I'm being needed, the more valuable I am. And now here we are, right? Logically, I've always known I don't have to do it all, right? My brain knows that. I know I shouldn't have to do it all. I have an amazing partner. I have a community. I have friends. I have family, but everything in my body resists letting go, resists letting others in, resists asking for help, right? Resists letting them do things in ways that are different than how I would do it. And it's because for so long, my body was in this chronic fight or flight response. And it was convinced, like I was utterly convinced, my body, that if I dropped the ball, something really bad would happen, right? So you got to keep all those balls in the air. You're constantly juggling. You're not like passing any of those balls to anyone else. And it drives you to burnout. Okay. So that's sign number one. The second sign I want to talk to you guys about as a sign of mom burnout, and this is another one that I experienced personally, and it still comes to me, right? When I'm not being vigilant and taking care of myself well, is that I start to get easily irritated and snapping over little things. And maybe you can relate to this. This is sign number 2. Like I can think of moments where I've been really impatient, right? The milk spills, the whining, the mess, and like these little things take me over the edge. They took me over the edge. I don't want to be that reactive. None of us do, right? It's not fun for us. It's not fun for our kids. It's not fun for our partners. It's not fun for anyone around us. But when we're in that state of burnout where we're just so easily irritated, we're living on edge, snapping, triggered, no matter how much we tell ourselves to chill out, calm down, it's not a big deal, it's not going to help. Our body doesn't listen. That's not how our body communicates, right? We talk about this a lot on this show. So how does this show up? Being easily irritated, snapping over little things. Well, just like that, right? We're irritated, we're snappy, and then we feel so guilty after every outburst, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? I scared my kids, or, now I just like escalated everything and everyone's miserable. But it's hard to stop, right? You go from like 0 to 10 so fast. And then afterward, you're just like, feel exhausted. You feel drained. Your heart's racing, your stomach's tightening, right? Your body tenses the second frustration hits. And again, you just feel so disconnected from that kind of mom that you want to show up as. And when it comes to our nervous system, our nervous system has a bandwidth. Our nervous system has a capacity. This is a good thing, right? We call it our window of tolerance. It's our ability to handle stress before becoming dysregulated. It's our body's ability to handle life, what's coming at us before we snap, right? And when we are in this state of burnout, you guys, that window of tolerance is like shrunken down to almost nothing. We're constantly living at the edge of our capacity. And then it just takes one tiny little input, right? One little comment, one little thing to happen, one side eye, one tone of voice that we don't appreciate. And our nervous system is like, popping off, because our nervous system is stuck in this chronic stress response. And every little thing feels like a big threat, right? It's a little stressor. We perceive it as a big threat. So this isn't about like pushing through. It's not about toxic positivity. It's not about spiritual bypassing. It's not about like pretending you're happy when you're not. It's not about willpower. It's about your body literally not having the capacity to handle one more thing. Okay. It's a capacity issue. And this is a huge part of what we focus on inside of the burnout recovery blueprint, you guys. We spend weeks learning specific tools, body-based tools to increase your capacity. And then we also learn about the things that help us to protect and grow our capacity, right? Our patterns, our habits, our boundaries that we set, our coping mechanisms for stress. Because when you think about that bandwidth, that limited capacity of your nervous system, think about like a bathtub that's just like overflowing with water, right? It's making a huge mess everywhere. That's our body, right? Our bathtub is overflowing with water. We're past capacity. It is spilling over. If that's happening, there's two things that we've got to do, right? One, we can open the drain and let some of that water out. And that's part of what we learn inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint. It's like, how can you release a lot of this stuff? How can you create space? How can you like open that drain and let some of this stuff out to increase your bandwidth and your capacity? So that's number one. You have to lift the drain and let some of that water go out and make space, right? But the second thing that you have to do is, y'all, you got to turn off the faucet. You have to turn off the water, right? It's about letting stuff out, but it's also about what you're putting in and how you can limit that. And that's really where the coping mechanisms and the boundaries really, really come in big. And I walk you through that step by step, week by week inside of the Burnout Recovery Blueprint. Okay. And then sign number 3 that you might be experiencing mom burnout is that you might feel overwhelmed, anxious, forgetful. You're forgetting all these little things, appointments, details, events. Like you just feel like that more often than not, right? The mind's constantly racing. You're drowning in decisions, right? Like things that you know are small things feel really overwhelming. Maybe your memory is just like shot. You feel, you walk into the kitchen, you're like, I have no idea why I walked in here, right? It happens. You feel scattered, overwhelmed, forgetful, right? Or teetering on the edge. Like that's not a good place to be. It's exhausting. You're wired but tired, right? You're so flipping beat at the end of the day, but then you put your head on the pillow and like you're not sleeping well. It's hard to fall asleep. Your mind's still racing. You're waking up at 2, 3 a.m. and having a really hard time going back to sleep. Burnout disrupts brain function. Burnout disrupts your brain function, friends. So when your nervous system has been stuck in this high alert mode, it's flooding your body with cortisol. And that has an impact, a real impact. You're not making this up, right? I'm doing like the opposite of gaslighting you right now. I am affirming what's going on. I am validating your experience. Chronic stress, burnout, floods your body with cortisol and it impairs your memory. It's real, right? It impairs your brain function. It impairs your decision making. It's real. It impairs your emotional regulation. That's real, right? And that's why you can feel so overwhelmed by even the smallest choices. Okay. So whether you've resonated with 1, 2, or 3 of these signs of mom burnout, be encouraged because there is a solution, right? You don't have to keep living like this. You don't have to go out and start, taking medication or like overhauling all this stuff. Like there is a solution for you. You can start healing. And now that you know some of these signs and you have this new awareness, like let's talk about what you can actually do about it, okay? The first thing that you've got to take a look at is what do your boundaries look like? And inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint, I teach boundaries in I think a really unique way. And I think it's a really effective way. But we have to look at boundaries, not just so much about like how, like who we're letting into our space or boundaries that we hold with other people, but really breaking it down into 4 different categories. What boundaries do you have around your bandwidth? What boundaries do you have around your attention? What boundaries do you have around your behaviors? And then what boundaries do you have around your inner child? If you can really do some work around that, grow in your awareness, get intentional about it, right? Start protecting those 4 areas, your bandwidth, your attention, your behaviors, and your inner child, right? Tiny daily things you can do, you guys. It makes a huge difference. And again, inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint, we spend a whole module talking about boundaries, right? We take a look at the boundaries we have in these areas. We take a look at boundaries we can set that will serve us well in these areas. We talk about how to enforce them. We talk about how to communicate them. We talk about what happens, right? When we go for the low-hanging fruit and we break a boundary, where do we go from there, right? So this is super, super important. The next thing, and this is part of the creating space, you guys, so that there's room for us to move around and room for us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically to heal is yes, we have to take care of ourselves. And that looks different for all of us, right? We need different things in different seasons. Self-care can feel really overwhelming and unhelpful when we hear like, it's just self-care, frankly. Practically, I think a good place to start is to get intentional about doing something small for your mind, your body, and your soul every single day. I have a little checklist in my planner, mind, body, soul. I just put MBS. And when I've done something for my mind and my body and my soul, I just put a check next to it. And my goal, again, not to be perfect in this, but my goal is to try to do something for my mind, my body, and my soul every day. Sometimes do I, have this beautiful space for a morning routine where I'm reading a nonfiction book and nourishing my mind. And then I have time to do a workout or go for a walk outside and nourish my body. And then, the kids are like miraculously doing their homeschool work by themselves. And I have time to write a handwritten letter to a friend that I haven't been in touch with for a while, and it nourishes my soul. Like, is that the ideal? Yes. How often does that happen? Not very. It's not real life, right? Sometimes what I do for my body is literally just eating breakfast and I check it off, right? Today, that was something that I did for my body. Sometimes, right, listening to a podcast is what I do for my mind or what I do for my soul while I'm folding laundry, right? Sometimes, putting my phone away and watching a funny movie with my kids after dinner is what I do for my soul, right? Like, don't overthink this. But I think the more that we can be intentional about like, am I nurturing my mind, my body, and my soul in different ways on different days, but just having it be at the forefront, at least I find that to be really helpful. And inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint, we do a monthly embodiment challenge. And one of the challenges is exactly this, right? I've made a checklist for the women. And then I've made a whole library of different ideas for things that you can do to nourish your mind and your body and your soul every day. And then we do that together, right? For 4 weeks, 28 days, we as a collective start to get into the pattern of nourishing our mind and our body and our soul, even in the tiniest ways, right? I mean, while you're driving, while you're putting gas in your car, really thinking about, gratitude, for example, like that can be it. Check it off, man. You did something for your soul today. But I think that can be really helpful. And then the last thing is we've got to learn how to regulate our nervous system with somatic body-based tools, right? It's not overhauling everything. Small. Do you have tools, body-based tools, for when you feel overwhelmed? Do you have tools, body-based tools, from when you feel like you can't even get out of bed in the morning? Do you have body-based practices for when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling triggered, right? What have you? And this is what we teach inside of Burnout Recovery Blueprint. I'm telling you guys, the next cohort is starting in April. So if you're listening to this around the time that it comes out, if this is landing for you, if this is resonating, if you're wanting to make this a focus this year and really heal from this burnout, because y'all, this is not the life for you, and it's not the life for your kids, and it's not the life for your marriage, and it's not the life for your work, and you're ready to take accountability and action, man, think about joining us in April, because I would so love to have you be a part of the next cohort of Burnout Recovery Blueprint. And you'll have a guide through all of this, right? And you'll have community through all of this. And you'll have access to our somatic resource library. It's our regulation toolkit that's built into the program, where you will have dozens and dozens of practices, meditations, body-based practices, breath work, things that you can just go into your portal, hit play, and have the tools and the resources that you need to shift the state of your nervous system. All right. So let's take it back to burnout. Okay. What you guys are experiencing, I just want to encourage you that it's not like, don't chalk it up to just part of the job, right? It's not just part of the season of life that you're in. It's your body communicating with you. And the best part is that you can respond. You can respond to that. You can take small steps to your healing starting today. Okay. That's what I've got for you guys. I would love to hear which of these signs, hit home for you. Shoot me a DM on Instagram at It's Michelle Grosser. Send me an email, hello@michellegrosser.com. And if you're thinking about joining Burnout Recovery Blueprint in April, just keep your eyes peeled. It's coming back soon. You guys are going to hear more about it. But I would love to see you there if it feels like that might be helpful for you guys. All right. Take care. Love y'all so much. Talk to you soon.
If you love Mommy's Podcast, leave a review.
If you enjoyed this episode, it would be so awesome if you could take a moment to subscribe and rate the podcast. And if you have just a few more seconds to leave a quick review, they really help to get this podcast out to other moms like you. I read every last review, and trust me, when it's late at night or early in the morning before my kids get up and I'm working on bringing you all of this content, your reviews are what keep me going. Leaving a review is truly the best way you can thank me. And of course, DM me on Instagram. I love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to another episode. Head over to the show notes for this episode and all past episodes at michellegrosser.com, where you'll find free resources and more ways to connect with me. If you love the show, share it with a friend. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.